When I was a kid to trick my neighbor into giving me her red envelope money, I lied to her saying I'd marry her when we grew up. Who would thought years later she'd sit on my family's sofa calmly introducing herself, "Hello, I'm the fiancé you swore to spend your life with since childhood." I immediately blurted out, "Sister, do you actually believe that?" Just starting at the company, I was pulled into the office group chat. Right away, I saw the boss sending red envelopes in the group. If there's a red envelope and I don't grab it, I'd be a dog. I thanked the boss for the red envelope. I'd love her forever. After grabbing it, I didn't forget to toss in some flattery. The colleagues in the office all stared at me with stunned expressions. I returned their looks with a smile. At 3, I already knew how to scroll through my phone. At 5, I was a master at using social media. This made me a braggart from a young age. The truth proves that a braggart stays a braggart wherever they go. The whole office gave me thumbs ups. One bowed 90 degrees in gratitude. Not long after grabbing the red envelope, the boss added me privately on WeChat. To avoid awkwardness, I proactively sent a friendly emoji. She didn't reply. I saw the typing indicator, but after ages, not a single word came through. Could it be she wanted to take back the red envelope she sent? It made sense. After all, I just started working and hadn't achieved anything yet. I proactively returned the red envelope. She responded with 6 dots. She didn't accept the red envelope either. Staring at the unclaimed red envelope, my heart felt like it was bleeding. "Boss, if you're not here for the red envelope, could you at least return it to me?" The boss said it'd automatically return after 24 hours. I thought 24 hours was too slow. Money's safer in my wallet. The boss couldn't outsmart me and returned the red envelope. Even if it was just 216 yuan, I was the luckiest person alive. A colleague told me the boss was on a business trip and wouldn't be back for half a month. In that half month, I could thoroughly learn about the company, lest the boss returns and fires me. Not for any other reason, but because the boss standards are peculiarly high. She doesn't tolerate slackers. I just graduated, still an intern. After going full-time with 5 insurances and 1 fund deducted, I'd earn 8,000 yuan a month. I didn't want to lose such a great job. I studied diligently, while not missing out on grabbing red envelopes in the group. Speaking of a boss who sends red envelopes daily, who wouldn't love that? So the one secret group chat was stirred up by me. It was filled with praises for the boss. The boss is amazing, sending red envelopes daily. I love her so much. I eagerly went to work every day, just to meet the leader sooner. Following the boss was a blessing from 10 lifetimes of good deeds. No longer would I worry about ending up on the streets, sleeping in a dumpster. Thanks to her, I don't know if it was because of my daily sky-high flattery. In any case, the boss sent red envelopes on time in the group. A new buddy told me the boss was ruthless. Before I joined, they worked overtime late into the night. No extra pay for overtime, not a cent. Red envelopes, never seen one. Never heard of it. I was happily looking at the red envelope I just grabbed. The team leader burst into the office, telling everyone to quickly finish the documents at hand. A meeting was happening immediately because the boss was back. I always thought my boss was a middle-aged man with a beer belly, big head, and large ears. But the woman in front of me wore gold-rimmed glasses, a neatly pressed suit, and stood 6 feet tall. I could brag to my buddies for life. I hurriedly grabbed my phone to sneak a photo, but the click of the shutter rang through the office like thunder. The silence was so profound, I could hear a pin drop. "Wood White, what are you doing?" The team leader glared at me furiously. I stood up quickly, because the boss was too stunning. Fresh out of college, starting work, and meeting a leader this gorgeous for the first time. Of course, I had to snap a photo to brag to my buddies. I boldly spoke the truth. All my colleagues fell silent. One by one, they raised their thumbs, though some secretly prayed for me. The boss pushed her gold-rimmed glasses and glanced at me. She seemed to be smiling. After the meeting ended, I was called alone to the CEO's office. The boss, sitting in an imported Italian leather chair, observed me. "Didn't you want to take photos?" No one's here now. Go ahead and shoot, she said nonchalantly. I felt doomed. Half a month into the job on the first day, meeting the boss, I was about to be fired. Boss, I shouldn't have been distracted during the meeting. You can fire me, but could you pay me for this half month? I heard her chuckle softly. I'm not firing you, go ahead, take the photos, she said again. I looked at her in disbelief, seeing she didn't seem to be lying. So I pulled out my phone and snapped over a dozen photos of Frost White. As a workplace rookie, what a glorious month. The boss held a meeting. I got caught slacking and wasn't fired. And I even got beautiful photos of the boss. In an instant, I became the company's celebrity. Even the factory downstairs was buzzing about me. After the boss returned, she stopped sending red envelopes in the group, instead sending them privately to me. 50 yuan each time with a note to buy Frost White a coffee, or to have White deliver documents. Every time I heard the red envelope notification, I thought the boss was summoning me again. In the WeChat chat history between me and the boss, the most frequent phrase was, "Boss, I love you. Boss, you're just too amazing. Boss, I'll love you forever." I thoroughly enjoyed office life. After all, in just 1 month on the job, I'd received thousands of yuan in red envelopes alone. No more worrying about money for cat food. In my second month of work, my mom called telling me to come home for dinner. As I opened the door, I saw my stunning boss Frost White, wearing a pristine dress, gold-rimmed glasses sitting on the sofa. I hurriedly stepped outside to check the house number. Yes, this was my home. My mom poked her head out from the kitchen, saw me, and pushed me in front of Frost White, introducing me at length. She didn't forget to tell Frost White that I was a master communicator. Frost White pushed her glasses and smiled at me. It turned out Frost White's grandma and my grandma were best friends. As kids, we lived in the same neighborhood. Later, my parents moved to the city for work, taking me along. My mom said I used to play with Frost White as a kid. I couldn't remember. After all, she was so beautiful. If I'd played with her, I'd definitely remember. It annoyed me that my mom was making things up. After her introduction, my mom slipped back to the kitchen to cook. After chatting for a bit, I learned it was Frost White's birthday today. I glanced at my WeChat balance. So, today I had to return all the red envelopes I'd grabbed. I don't know if Frost saw through my little scheme. She kept smiling at me. My colleagues said she was ruthless, and they weren't kidding. At the dinner table, my parents gave her a red envelope. She didn't accept it. So I boldly sent 888 yuan via WeChat. After all, she wouldn't take it. No need to fear. But WeChat showed recipient has successfully received. I nearly spat blood. When leaving, Frost White offered to drive me back. My parents were overjoyed, and so was I. Who told her to accept my 888 yuan? I had to take this ride. Have you remembered who I am? Frost White suddenly spoke while driving. I was clueless. You're the enemy who took my 888 yuan red envelope. Who else could you be? I cursed silently in my heart. Frost White glanced at me and said that when I was a kid visiting my hometown for the new year, I saw her family giving her lots of red envelopes. I was so jealous that I clung to her, begging for her red envelopes. You said you'd marry me when we grew up, that you'd love me forever. Since you'd give them to me eventually, might as well give them all now. And so I tricked her out of all her red envelope money. When leaving, I held her hand, crying and telling her to save the red envelopes for later, not to spend them, because I'd come back for her. I held my jaw to keep it from dropping. As a kid, I did something so shameless. Why don't I remember? But White, where did you disappear to? Did you get lost? Frost White's voice rang out again. I desperately racked my brain, but I truly couldn't remember. Would White speak? Frost White's voice sounded in my ear again. I looked at Frost White gripping the steering wheel, my lips trembling. Is it possible I didn't get lost but forgot? After saying that, I hurriedly covered my mouth. I hadn't meant to say it out loud. I'd only thought it in my head. I glanced at Frost White driving. Sure enough, her face was dark and terrifying. I felt if she got any more impulsive, she'd crash into the car in front. Sorry. I was wrong. I didn't know my careless actions as a kid caused you such great harm. If I'd known my future boss would be you, I'd have offered all my red envelopes to you. No way I could pretend. Money is my lifeblood. For some reason, I thought I heard a cold laugh from Frost White. To confirm it wasn't my imagination, I stared at her with eyes wide as bells. Frost White ignored me and I didn't dare speak. Too scary. Could it be that just starting work? Before even getting my salary, I'd be fired. With 5 insurances and 1 fund, 8,000 yuan salary, weekends off, and daily red envelopes from the boss. Where else could I find such a job? And just an ordinary employee. Why is fate so cruel to me? Frost White stayed silent and drove me to my rented apartment. To express my gratitude, one bowed 90 degrees. Thank you, boss, for driving me home. I'll love you forever. Frost White's lips curled slightly, saying I used that phrase a lot. Her face was dark as ink. I wanted to cry but had no tears. It's become a habit to say it. Since childhood, I've had a sweet tongue. I even called my grandma's sister. Give me benefits and I'll praise you to the skies. Every New Year visiting relatives, grabbing red envelopes while making heart gestures. My mouth saying thank you, love you forever. At this moment, my heart was in utter chaos. Should I resign proactively or wait for the boss to fire me? I cautiously looked up to observe Frost White's expression. She furrowed her brow, her face dark as coal. Boss, why don't you come in and sit? I pointed at the peeling paint door and said, I'm well aware I'm a master communicator, but my boss seemed to be just like me, also a master communicator. She took the keys from my hand and opened my door. As she stepped in and touched the light switch on the wall, the old wiring shocked her. I felt the air around her freeze. Do you want me to sit? Or do you want to take my life? Frost White asked with a smirk. I hurriedly turned on the light. The shabby state of the house appeared before us. Old floor, old table, old sofa, old cabinets, no mistake. I rented an old house. Who told me this place was cheap? Only 500 yuan a month. I don't know if others would be tempted, but I was. Even if everything's old, I keep it very clean. There's a vase of fresh flowers on the coffee table, a fish tank beside it, and an adorable orange cat, full of life. I love my life. The company covers 5 insurances and 1 fund for you. Your take-home pay is 8,000 yuan. Where does all your money go? Why rent such a rundown place? Frost White was a bit angry. I pouted, of course I'm saving it. Aside from rent, I save everything. Why save so much money? Do you owe student loans? Frost White didn't understand. I shook my head no. This money is for supporting my future wife. What about the red envelopes you got as a kid? Saving those too. For your future wife. She asked again, didn't she? I nodded. Frost White fell silent. I hurriedly covered my mouth. For some reason, I'm usually a big talker, mixing truth and lies. But in front of Frost White, I could only tell the truth. Her face was dark as coal. She must think I tricked her out of her red envelopes to support another girl. I felt I definitely offended Frost White. Back at work, I was like a wilted flower, heartbroken, submitting my resignation. 5 insurances and 1 fund, 8,000 yuan salary, weekends off, and the boss little red envelopes will they no longer be mine. While I was wallowing in heartache like losing a lover, WeChat pinged with a message from Frost White. She sent me another 50 yuan. Frost White told me to come to her office. No way. I'd already submitted my resignation, and she still wouldn't let me go. Did she want me to repay the money I tricked her out of as a kid? She was too much. I grumbled silently but acted obediently, heading straight to the CEO's office. CEO, you wanted to see me. I flashed the professional smile I perfected since childhood to flatter her. Frost White said nothing, tossing my resignation letter onto the desk. Why resign? Am I not giving you enough? How much is the other side offering? I'll double it. Frost White looked very angry. The other side? I didn't understand. Frost White frowned. Didn't you find another job? I realized. Frost White misunderstood, thinking I was poached by another company. There's no other job. A fresh graduate like Muhad want me. I'm not putting myself down, but a job with weekends off, 5 insurances and 1 fund. 8,000 UN salary. That's the result of all the good deeds from my past life. My buddies are still interning. 1,800 UN a month. Happy as huskies every day. Turning down a job like this, I really don't know where I'd find another with such salary and benefits. Do you know why? I felt Frost White was getting angrier. You haven't found another job and still dare to resign. Would White, are you made of courage? Frost White was so mad she laughed. I shook my head. Lately I've been listening to Lone Warrior. Frost White was truly furious. Her face stretched long. You resigned to live off the northwest wind. Frost White rubbed her temples. It's because you're too scary. You keep bringing up how I tricked you out of your red envelopes. Isn't that indirectly telling me to stay away from you? I thought this in my heart and blurted it all out. I suspected I had a disease, a condition where I could only tell the truth in front of Frost White. Frost White stared at me, lost in thought. Salary raised to 10,000. Weekends off and 5 insurances and 1 fund unchanged. Will you stay? She said, and my ears buzzed. Such a good deal. So I hurriedly flattered I'll stay. If the boss tells me to go east, I won't dare go west. I grinned, fresh out of college with a salary over 10,000. She wasn't just my boss. She was my foster parent. Mom, I mean boss. What are your next instructions? I saw Frost White's lips curve into a smile. I didn't expect you to have this fetish. I pouted. I'm just too excited. Frost White told me to make her coffee, book a hotel for her, and even prepare clothes for her meeting. Was I secretly promoted to her life assistant? In any case, no longer facing mundane documents or staring at the director's face. It felt kind of refreshing. After working late, Frost White personally drove me home. I wanted to refuse, but thinking of the 888 UN she took, having her be my free driver wasn't too much. After all, she wouldn't drive me every day. I happily returned home, hugging my orange cat to share today's joy. Thinking it over, I grabbed my phone. Such great news had to be shared with my buddies. But as I pulled out my phone, the power in the house went out. I rented an old house. Power outages were common. I expertly went to the circuit breaker. The power had short-circuited, even sparking. I quickly grabbed the fire extinguisher, sprayed twice, and put out the fire. Today's joy ended in a blackout. There was a knock at the door. I looked through the peephole. It was Frost White. What's wrong? I opened the door. The house was pitch black. If not for the hallway's voice-activated lights, the whole world would be dark. Frost White turned on her phone's flashlight, walked around the house, her eyes landing on the circuit breaker and fire extinguisher. Her expression was icy. She moved her lips. I guess she wanted to say my rented place was terrible, but being kind, she held back. Frost White took a deep breath and said, "It's inconvenient for a man and woman to share a room." I said. Frost White smirked. "Sure. Your place is very convenient. Go to work late tomorrow and I'll dock your pay. Don't cry poverty to me," she added. In the end, I gave in to the boss' authority, packing my clothes and orange cat to follow Frost White. Frost White lived in the city center's most bustling apartment complex. As we entered, the smart butler automatically turned on all the lights. Though my place wasn't as fancy as Frost White's, it wasn't bad. I was just stingy, choosing an old house, which led to this mess. Truth is, I'd already been looking for a new place. Work was busy and finding a house was hard, so I let it slide. Stepping into Frost White's home, she prepared a pair of men's slippers for me. They fit perfectly, but for a woman like her to have men's slippers at home, did she have a boyfriend? The boss knowing might not be good. I stood at the door. I didn't want to be seen as a homewrecker. Frost White tapped my head. "Didn't you see the slippers were freshly unpacked?" She pulled me to another room. "You'll sleep here from now on." Frost White pushed her glasses and nodded. "I don't want something like today to happen again. You're my employee and am responsible for you." I looked around the room a bit embarrassed. Free like this, I knew it. When God closes a door, He opens a window. I happily hugged Frostwhite. This is amazing. Frostwhite, I love you. I love you to death. Frostwhite looked at me, her eyes full of amusement. This is my ancestor. I think I just pissed her off. Alright, I'm going to shower. I slipped into the room, shutting Frostwhite out. I couldn't let my infatuation get me kicked out by Frostwhite. After showering, lying on the soft double bed, I felt like it was all a dream. I swore to work hard. If I slacked even a bit, it'd be disrespecting this 10,000 yuan salary. The next day, I deliberately woke up half an hour earlier than usual, with a boss as great as Frostwhite. Shouldn't I go buy her breakfast? But when I got up, why was there a delicious aroma wafting from the kitchen? Because Frostwhite had already prepared breakfast. My rare chance to show off was gone. Seeing me, Frostwhite took two sandwiches from the microwave, placed them on plates, set them on the dining table, and grabbed two glasses of warm milk. Sorry, I woke up late, I said. This was me waking up half an hour earlier than usual. Frostwhite just smiled and told me to eat quickly. After breakfast, let's go to your place later to move all your stuff here, Frostwhite said. My lease still had half a month left. Frostwhite glanced at me, smiling. If waived your rent, and you're still worried about that half month's rent. Greedy little thing. For some reason, I felt she was indulging me a bit. I quickly bowed my head to eat breakfast. It must be my imagination. I'm just an employee who tricked her out of her red envelopes. If she didn't kill me to vent her anger, I was lucky. My salary was raised. My position adjusted. This was the most glorious moment of my life. I shared this joy with my buddies. Frostwhite still sent me red envelopes, 50 yuan each time. I happily accepted them, working even more enthusiastically. I moved all my belongings to Frostwhite's house, placing them in my room. She told me to use everything in the house freely. No need to be polite. I nodded in agreement. I'd use it, but freely I didn't dare. Even as a braggart, I wouldn't be that reckless. Right after moving everything to the house, Frostwhite, I transferred 2,000 yuan to her. Taking small advantages isn't wise. Her house was so nice, and she gave me a room, mainly if I resigned one day. And she turned on me, what would I do? After sending the money to Frostwhite, I happily went to shower. When I returned, I saw several missed calls on my phone. I hurriedly left the room. Frostwhite was standing at my door. Frostwhite, what's up? I asked her. Frostwhite showed me the transfer history. Why did you send me money? I gave an awkward smile, explaining to her. She didn't say anything, just used her phone to return the money. Free means free. No need to be polite with me, Frostwhite said. But what if I resign one day? I asked if I quit, and you're in a bad mood and don't let me in. We don't have a lease agreement. If you throw my stuff out, I'd have nowhere to complain. I saw Frostwhite hold her forehead. I won't fire you, as long as you don't like before. Quit on a whim, you're fine. She said, did she mean as long as I wanted to work? I could stay at her company until I'm old, I asked. Frostwhite nodded without speaking, smiling. She pulled out her phone, turned on the recorder, and told me to leave proof. Say that I Frostwhite allowed White to work at the company until old age. Frostwhite paused, her ears gradually turning red. She took the phone and repeated the sentence, adding, and the house is for White to live in comfortably. Now it was my turn to blush. The atmosphere felt a bit strange. I quickly grabbed the phone. All right, the proof is recorded. I'm going to finish my shower. Frostwhite nodded, seeing me close the door. Lying in bed, I played the recording over and over. Frostwhite's voice was so pleasant, and the content was even more pleasant. A few days later, my mom came, bringing lots of local specialties. When I saw my mom at Frostwhite's house, I froze. Mom, let me explain. I'm renting a room at Frostwhite's place. There's nothing between us. My body trembled 3 times. Though I'm a braggart, I come from a traditional family. My parents are traditional too, absolutely against living together before marriage. I was afraid my mom would drag me home and break my legs. My mom glanced at me, as if telling me I was overthinking. Frostwhite had already told her. She wanted to bring me to live here. That rundown place you rented scared me, and it almost scared Frostwhite too. Aren't you afraid of a fire breaking out in the middle of the night and burning you alive? My mom scolded me without mercy. If I were any weaker, I'd have ended myself. But I'm a braggart. I equipped a fire extinguisher I won't die. Frostwhite and my mom were speechless. My mom chose to chat with Frostwhite the whole time, as if Frostwhite were her real child. When my mom left, I pulled her aside. Mom, don't tell me. I have a sister from another mother. I don't have a sister, I'm sick, don't block mom's way. My mom left without looking back. What a heartless woman. Since Frostwhite and I started going to work together, even riding in the same car to the company, rumors started swirling in the office. They said, roughly, that I seduced Frostwhite. I don't know whose mouth it came from, but by the time I found out, the factory downstairs was full of gossip about me and Frostwhite. That day, I went to the staff office to pick up documents. Even my close buddy from before was discussing this with others. I sadly took the documents and left. Frostwhite asked me what was wrong. I didn't say after work. I didn't wait for her. Going home alone, when she called, I hung up. Her messages, I replied, it's after hours now. If there's something, we'll talk at work tomorrow. After that, I got no more messages from Frostwhite. The next day, I deliberately avoided her. The days after that too. Except for necessary meetings, I was silent as a chicken. Frostwhite probably knew why I was avoiding her. She had her secretary go to the lower office and say, anyone gossiping will be fired. But it had no effect. People still talked, just in quieter voices. After bringing Frostwhite a coffee, I left. Frostwhite called me back. What's wrong with me, she asked. I didn't hesitate, saying directly, I'm afraid of affecting your reputation. Frostwhite stood up, coming over to me. What reputation do I have? I counted on my fingers. Diamond Singleton, elegant goddess, I schooled beauty. I didn't expect people to call me that behind my back. Do you call me that too? Frostwhite asked me. I nodded, of course. In my heart, I had another nickname for her. God of Wealth. Frostwhite pursed her lips and chuckled. She tapped my head. Money grubber, leave the rumors to me, she said. For some reason, I nodded like I was bewitched. The next day at work, my close buddy came up to me. Woodwhite, so you're the CEO's fiance? I was drinking milk tea and spat it out at his words. Who said that? The boss herself came to the office yesterday before leaving and said it. All right, these past 2 days, I hadn't gone to work with Frostwhite. I really didn't know. I rushed to the CEO's office. Seeing Frostwhite, I felt a bit guilty. Frostwhite, thank you for doing all this for me. But isn't this sacrificing your reputation? Frostwhite pushed her glasses and looked at me. Be nicer to me from now on. As long as we know the truth, that's enough. Our parents are friends. Our grandmas were best friends. With such a close relationship, why wouldn't I help you? What do you say? Frostwhite's words touched me deeply. The most touching thing was finally being able to go to work with her again. Taking the bus was really tough and slow. Having to wake up an hour earlier every day. Frostwhite's kindness I'd never forget. I specially bought a shopping basket and dragged Frostwhite to the market on the weekend. Pick whatever you want, today's on me. Frostwhite looked at me meaningfully. We walked around the market, buying plenty of vegetables. At checkout, I swiftly handed the payment code to the vegetable seller. Today I spent 300 yuan. Though it wasn't my first time cooking, I really didn't know how to cook. Frostwhite rushed into the kitchen, saw the pot lid on the floor, and quickly pulled me to the sofa. Are you hurt? I shook my head, but the kitchen seemed to be injured. Frostwhite sighed, telling me to stay put. I just wanted to crawl into a hole, clearly intending to cook. I ended up burning the kitchen. Frostwhite finished cooking. To ease my earlier embarrassment, I went all out, flattering Frostwhite. Your cooking skills are amazing. Your future husband is a lucky man. I'm happy for him on his behalf. She curved her lips, listening to my blabber. After talking for a while, I shut up, embarrassed. The dishwashing was definitely my job. Otherwise, I wouldn't know how to face Frostwhite. My cat has been acting strange lately, meowing constantly, and peeing everywhere. That day Frostwhite and I came home from work together. Seeing the cat had peed all over her bed. Sorry, I'll handle it right away. I hurriedly changed Frostwhite's bedsheets. The comforter was unusable and had to be thrown out. But tonight Frostwhite had no bed to sleep in. How about you sleep with me tonight? I said to Frostwhite. Frostwhite stayed silent. I went to grab my orange cat. As long as you don't kill it, do whatever you want with it. Frostwhite pointed at Golden Bean's lower half. Your cat's in heat. I quickly looked but saw nothing. First time raising a cat, she asked. She locked my orange cat in a cage and played soft music for it. I sighed embarrassed. First time being a dad, not used to it. Yeah, the struggles of a single dad. You need to find it a mom like me. Frostwhite said. My heart pounded. My cat's in heat. Does that mean we need to neuter it? To ease my embarrassment, I asked with a smile. She glanced at me, ignoring me. Frostwhite said she'd sleep on the sofa tonight. But Golden Bean was meowing too loudly. The whole house could hear. I really wanted to deal with Golden Bean right then. In the middle of the night, Frostwhite came to my room. I split the blanket with her. She placed some clothes as a boundary between us, calling it a truce. How about we take Golden Bean to get neutered tomorrow? I said you can't do it while it's in heat. Then neuter it after the heat's over. Frostwhite was silent for a moment, sighing in the dark. Can't you just not neuter it? She said with a reproachful tone. Is it my kid or yours? I teased. Frostwhite didn't respond. She was definitely mad. Fine, well, reluctantly let it be your kid. Since it's in heat, you're its mom. She chuckled softly. The next morning, I woke up in Frostwhite's arms. She was held so tightly by me, she could barely breathe. I knew I was a lustful guy. I quickly sat up, pretending nothing happened. Frostwhite climbed up too, because I hugged her today. She didn't wake up early. We had to go out to buy breakfast. All day I kept thinking about my orange cat. Frostwhite, do you think Golden Bean could suffocate? I suddenly asked Frostwhite. No way, how would you know? You're not a cat. Frostwhite's face was dark as coal. In the end, Frostwhite dragged me along. I thought it was for an urgent contract signing. Turns out we went to her sister's place. Her sister had 3 cats. One of them an orange female cat. The female cat named Sweetie was shy but didn't scratch. You can raise her with confidence. Frostwhite's sister looked at me curiously. Frostwhite hasn't won you over yet. I quickly explained. We're just boss and employee. Her sister smiled and said no more. Frostwhite and I hurriedly brought our new daughter-in-law home. Golden Bean was indeed a lustful cat. He clung to Sweetie the moment he saw her. Frostwhite looked there about to consummate. Frostwhite pulled me into the room. What do you see? She asked. I see Golden Bean and Sweetie doing this and that. I gestured in the room. There was only heavy breathing and heartbeats. It wasn't very clear. I leaned close to Frostwhite's chest. She pressed me against her. The cat's meows outside didn't stop. Her heartbeat didn't stop either. Like I was possessed, I asked Frostwhite, do you like me? I wasn't fueled by tiger's gall or bear's heart, but her sister's words today kept my heart dangling all day. I'm the type who won't give up until I hit the Yellow River. Who told me to fall for her the first time we met? I'm a braggart, with a mouth that speaks better than others. Even if I tried and failed, so what? Frostwhite looked at me, sighing helplessly. You already know why I ask. You're not afraid, so why should I be? I pressed further. Frostwhite held the back of my neck and kissed me. My first kissy nearly suffocated. I didn't know how to breathe. Frostwhite let me go. I was like a drowning man reaching shore, gasping for air. My heart raced like a startled fawn. Don't you know not to ask that at a time like this? Something might happen. What if I can't hold back? She hugged me, kissing my forehead. Then you take responsibility. In the face of beauty, I couldn't stay calm. The thought of pinning Frostwhite down had been there since the first time I saw her. I didn't expect I'd actually dare. The next morning, we sat at the dining table staring at each other. Sorry, I want to go back to last night and slap myself. I actually dared to pin down my god of wealth. I must have eaten tiger's gall. So when are we registering our marriage? And the wedding date, when do you want to set it? No need, I don't need you to take responsibility. She's my god of wealth. How could I dare make her take responsibility? Besides, registering marriage so soon. Can't we date first? Frostwhite's face turned ashen. Is my technique bad? If you're not satisfied, I can learn. It'll get better and better. My face turned red as a cherry. Is this something I get to hear for free? Just then, I heard Golden Bean and Sweetie again. In broad daylight. They didn't hold back at all. Frostwhite and I bowed our heads to eat. My mind was full of what happened last night. This employee relationship had truly gone astray. No flowers, no red wine. Amid the meows of Golden Bean and Sweetie, we confirmed our relationship. Frostwhite insisted on taking me to meet my parents, though she'd met them before. My mom happily cooked a feast. My dad brought out his long-stored wine. At the table, my dad urged Frostwhite to drink. My mom also said not to leave tonight. She'd prepare the guest room later. So Frostwhite and my dad went drink for drink, chugging endlessly. You guys keep drinking. It'll go tidy the guest room. After 3 rounds, my mom stood up. Mom, don't bother, Frostwhite can sleep with me. I regretted it the moment I said it. My mom froze. My dad jumped up. Frostwhite was still pouring wine. My mom and dad exchanged looks. I don't know what they silently understood. My mom didn't prepare the guest room, pinching my waist instead, scolding me and Frostwhite for moving too fast. My dad, drunk, cried while telling me to take good care of Frostwhite. My mom handed the drunk Frostwhite to me. I helped Frostwhite to my room, planning to unbutton her shirt to wipe her down, but she sat up. I'm not drunk, Frostwhite shook her head. Just not as drunk as your dad. Frostwhite also wanted to take me to meet her parents. She said her dad was a retired soldier, her mom a retired teacher. I'd never been so nervous. I'm a braggart. How could I be nervous? Should I call her parents uncle and aunt? Or sir and madam? They prefer you call them mom and dad. Frostwhite whispered in my ear. Seeing me, Frostwhite's mom pulled me into the house. A braggart like me, for the first time, sat so obediently. Frostwhite saw me being so well behaved, and pursed her lips, smiling for a long time. Would White, you're so good, I really like it. If my daughter bullies you, tell us. Your uncle was a soldier. He'll discipline her with military rules. I nodded vigorously. When leaving, Frostwhite's parents gave me a red envelope. They said it was a meeting gift and not to be polite. Why would I be polite? Thank you, Dad. Thank you, Mom. From now on, we're family. No need for formalities. What's yours is mine and Frostwhite's. What's mine and Frostwhite's is yours too. Grabbing the red envelope, my flattery soared to the skies. Just moments ago, I was a shy boy. Now I spoke better than the village chief. Frostwhite's parents looked at each other. Both of them each pulled a bank card from their bags. Good kid, you're just too lovable. I told Frostwhite to find you sooner. Your mom arranged this match perfectly. Even with 2 bank cards in hand, I was still dazed. Riding home with Frostwhite, I stuffed the bank cards into my pocket. What did your mom mean by arranged marriage? Frostwhite then told me about the marriage arrangement. It was set by my grandma and her grandma. They said if each family had a boy and a girl, they'd become in-laws. But my dad's generation had only boys. After the 2 grandmas passed, they still remembered this. When I visited my hometown as a kid, it was to meet Frostwhite. Saying I'd marry her wasn't a lie. I heard it from my mom. I was young then, forgetful, and over time I forgot. I was afraid you'd think I approached you because of the old promise, so I didn't dare say. Frostwhite looked at me, smiling brightly. No way! I just marvel at how fate works. Back home, Frostwhite brought out a slightly old piggy bank, handing me a hammer to smash it. I opened it and saw the contents. My eyes lit up. Red envelopes, all red envelopes. These are all yours. You told me to keep them all, to give them to you when we grew up, Frostwhite said with a smile. She was so trendy, so good at making my heart flutter. I threw myself into her arms crying from joy. Had so much money again. Frost White and I got married. During the ceremony, they laughed and stuffed red envelopes at me, without any regret. After the wedding, we bought a house, right across from Frost White's parents' place. On weekends, we went back to our home, which was also our in-laws' home.